hello, Grand Rising. This is Empress Sade El Bay, and we are live with Holistic Life with Empress Emmy Wu. I am so proud to introduce this sister, and I just can't wait till you guys hear her story because she has so much to share. And I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to let the sister go in. We've been talking before this started, and, I'll just let her go from here. Empress Emmy Wu, could you please tell everyone about your background and how you started with holistic healing?
Oh, good morning. Good afternoon. However, if you just woke up, good morning. if you just have been already up, good afternoon. Alafia to everybody, and blessings, many blessings. My name is originally Emilia Bryant. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, PA, but my name is Emmy Wu. That is my celebrity name. That was my baby name given to me by my Filipino grandmother. May she rise in heaven. How I started into holistic health. I was actually on a 21-day fast, coming from, at that time, from a non-denominational church at that time. I've always walked from 5%er. I studied Malachi York. I studied many types of walks, Sunni, Muslim, you named it. I was there, and that was my spiritual journey. And then I ended up being back in a non-denominational church, because my family were Baptist and Catholic because of the Asian side. They were Catholic. And then my grandfather's side, he was Baptist. And so, coming from different walks, spiritual walks. So during that time, I was in a 21-day fast. A lot of different supernatural things were happening. And at that time, too, I was suffering from lung disease, using an inhaler due to the fact was the hospital at the time when I had my last daughter in 2007, they gave me Procardia, which is a pharmaceutical drug that actually lowers the blood pressure. It's for blood pressure, but they mixed it, they were giving it to me and mixing it with the magnesium to help me slow my contractions down. Because during that time, I was in a domestic violence relationship in 2000.
Wow.
So, my walk is very deep. If we can start from the time I was born all the way to now, very deep. A survivor from domestic violence. I've lived in homeless shelters for battered women. Raped at 12 years old. I've been in gangs.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow.
I tell women all the time, never say sorry. The thing is, I'm not sorry.
Right.
I tell women never feel sorry for what they've walked in, or even men, because men have been molested and raped too. They
That's
just don't
right.
think about it. And the thing is that never be ashamed of your walk, because it doesn't mean that it was supposed to happen to you. It just made you into a person to where you have a walking testimony to be able to help somebody else set themselves free. And that's where I use everything that has happened to me to be that testimony for somebody else's freedom. For that mirror to break. So when I was suffering from the lung disease, I ended up moving back to Atlanta, which I call Atlanta my captive, because, this is where I had moved away from in 2011 from the domestic violence. And then I moved back. So you know how they say in the Bible, you're going back to your captive. So, you're going back to where it began
Right.
with certain things. So, I ended up moving back here in September 27th of 2014, and I was still going through my fast. So one day, I heard Spirit come over me and tell me, you're not going to go use your inhaler. You're not going to use the inhaler. What you're going to do is you're going to walk Stone Mountain. I was like, I'm not walking Stone Mountain. You're crazy. Like, I'm not doing this. And mind you, I'm still like on this fast, the spiritual fast, no food, just water and, nuts. I've even wrote a book in one day in a trance while I was on this fast called Beyond the Mirrors during that time. And so I walked it. When I got to the top, I just heard the spirits just tell me, don't ever say you can't. And that's when I knew I was healed. Like, I
Oh
didn't have
wow.
my inhaler. I didn't have anything. I ran like I wasn't panicking. Like,
Mhm.
my lungs were strong, everything. So that's when I started going raw foods. And I was raw for like 6 months. And that raw foods, excuse me, raw foods really healed my body. So I didn't want to eat any like cooked foods, and I'm going back into that way again, to where like if I cook vegan meals, it's okay, but my body don't like it, and
Mm.
that's the problem that a lot of people don't. They have to listen to their body. They have to listen to their body. They have to understand that their body's talking to them. And so when I went raw, that's when my spirituality changed. That's when a lot of things of me changed, and it heightened.
Right.
You know?
Well, can you share with the people the difference, like, of, okay, if I'm a vegan and I eat cooked food, you would think this might be simple information, but I don't know if some of the
No, no,
viewers
no,
they may
no.
not understand
It's
the
okay.
difference. Could you
Okay,
could you
so
share with that? Mhm.
so the difference. Okay, so you have all these things like the keto diet and all this weird diet stuff. And I look at the word diet as like, what are you dying from?
Right.
What is your diet? What are you dying from? What are you detoxing from? The difference between a fast and a detox, and this is where I'm at, this is just me. A fast is something that, okay, you're at church and we're going to do this fast, and it's only like 3 days, and you're going in the fire, you're going to worship, and you're fasting, and boom, 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 right? But then you have a detox. The detox is when you're detoxing, you're getting rid of everything that's in the lymphatic system. You're getting rid of all the impurities. Not only are you detoxing your body, your mental state, right? So then you have the keto diet. And when I look at the keto diet, it's just really starchy to me. Um, the raw
Mhm.
food is more completely raw vegetables. There's no dairy. There's nothing cooked whatsoever. If you cook a soup, that's raw, what you would do is you would warm up some water, but your vegetables would go into a blender, and you would blend it like that, and then you would add your seasonings. That's still considered raw because it's not cooked on a stove. So that's raw. That's
Right.
the raw lifestyle. So everything is not cooked. It's not cooked on a stove. And that's another thing too. When we're cooking on a stove, when you go past five is like medium, high. So when you're cooking high, and my people are the main people that when we're cooking oil, it's on golden high, high. And I guess when we think that it's smoking, that okay, the oil's ready. No, what happens is when you're cooking your oil, like your vegetable oil, your canola oil, which is high in estrogen, um, all those type of oils, when you're smoking, when the oil smokes, the oil is now rancid. It's poison. That's
Mm.
what happens. Like when you do olive oil and it burns, you can't use it once it's smoking. It's poison.
Really?
Mm.
Okay.
So you have to have if you do olive oil, that's fine. If you suffer from fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS, or fibroids, anything, olive oil is not good for you to use. It's better for you to use palm oil or coconut oil if you're going to use anything like that when you're suffering from fibroids or endometriosis or PCOS or any type of like elements like that. Um, if you
What is PCOS, so people can know what that is?
PCOS is like the PCOS. It's like okay. So when a woman is having issues in her womb, like when she's having issues having sex, when they're having pain in
Mhm.
intercourse.
Mhm.
So PCOS, PCOS. You're having fibroids like the cysts and things like that.
Mm.
So the
And
symptoms of it is those are cysts. That's what PCOS is. It's an ovary syndrome.
okay.
Okay, so you'll have abnormal menstruations, heavy menstruals, irregular menstruals, short and light menstruals, or spotting.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm. So it's also common with like you have acne due to PCOS or fibroids, infertility. You can't have babies. You go through depression. Um, You might have male features, which hair on your face, loss of hair, excess bad, unwanted hair. That's like the hair on the chin, things like that. So that is that's where you get the PCOS from.
Now, quick question: when women age and they start to get like hair on their face or on their body, is that because of the same thing, or is just that something that they're gaining with age?
Well, in Egypt they used to call women who had facial hair hermaphrodites. They had they had the hermaphrodites and then the hermaphrodites. So they had the hermaphrodites, and naturally that's because the woman has their estrogen. Their phytoestrogen is not balanced, like their hormonal is off, so they are having more of the high testosterone, more than they're having the estrogen. Really, women are not supposed to have estrogen in their body, only phytoestrogen.
And why do they have that estrogen in their body?
Well, the estrogen is coming from, the foods that we eat. Almonds they're high in estrogen. There's so many different, so much food that is high in estrogen. Cashews, sunflower seeds is high in estrogen. That's why it's not good for men to eat sunflower seeds, because men end up getting boobs.
Oh, wow.
Tofu. Like, okay, so let's go into tofu. Like, everybody wants to eat tofu.
Right.
Everybody wants to do tofu. Everybody wants to eat tofu. Well, tofu was only given to us because they was making it too much for dog food.
Okay.
Which is soy. Because, honestly, they were making so much dog food because of the soy. A lot of people, like if you look at Asian delicacies and things like that, we do eat soy, and they don't have issues. Everybody's body mechanism is different. But when a melanated person eats too much soy, what happens? They end up with fibroids, or they end up with polycystic, PCOS. They end up with all these different things. And our body can't hold all that. When we look at slavery, what happened? We always got the last of the crap. The pig feet, the hog, like all the scraps, like we were dogs. So that's the same thing they're giving to society, is we're going to give you the rest of these scraps because we get too much. So we're like, all walks of life are all like dogs. We're going to test you and see how this works on your body.
Exactly.
So, it's like, if you don't, a black person, a black melanated people are not going to read. A lot of us are not going to read ingredients.
Yep, that's one of the problems. We're
not reading ingredients. So if it says the first two ingredients, if it says carrageen or isolated pea protein, we're not going to think in our mind, why is it saying isolated? What's isolating? Isolated pea protein also isolates things in the liver and things like that. So it's like, when you look at stuff, we're not going to sit there and read it. We're just going to be like, oh, well, that's just a preservative. And then when you find out what those preservatives really do to the body, then you're like, oh, that's why I might have this, or that's why my lymphatic system's not working, or this is where this is not working.
Right.
So we have to take our responsibility. So this is how I feel. I'm like, okay, if you can go to the liquor store, you know exactly what type of liquor you want. You can roll up a blunt. You know what you can go get your kush, your wedding cake, your, all these different wonderful blessings of marijuana. You can go buy your Gucci and your Louis Vuitton and all this Balenciaga, but if you can take responsibility to do all that and you spend your time doing that, take your time about your life. Because to me, if you have a choice, you want to live. That's a person who wants to live, and they're going to make sure even within themselves, their mental state and things like that, they're living. You want to live, die, meaning you're living, but also you just I'm just going to do what I want to do, but I'm still walking dead inside, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and health-wise, or I'm going to die. I'm just going, whatever. I'm just going to wait. Like that favorite saying that some of our elders say, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go.
Okay, right.
And You know, my dad is famous for that.
Yeah.
And that's that old school
That's
where,
that was.
yeah, you know, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Well, that's what you thought you was here to do, just to work for somebody and get a pension and do that. No, you have a purpose here,
That's right.
you know?
That's right. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned something earlier. I'm trying to make sure that I remember so I can touch on it. Because when you were talking about the different oils, because I meant to ask you about that, the specific different oils. I know most people don't know about what oils are best.
The best
When
oils,
looking,
the
mhm,
best oils, like I've cooked with palm oil. Palm oil has such a high content in it to withstand heat. Um,
okay,
and palm oil and coconut oil is
mhm,
really good. And so, like I said, it's okay to do olive oil, not too much. Sesame seed oil is good. You know, if you have allergic allergies to peanut oil, then I would do peanut oil. A lot of
mhm,
people do because, you know, if you come from Africa, they use a lot of peanut oil and
mhm.
stuff like that. But like vegetable oil and like canola oil is very high in estrogen. Like it's
Mm,
damaging. It damages our liver and kidneys highly. Like if
wow.
you really look, and I do have a PDF that's out. I did write a book. It's called The House of Veganati. You know, I do have that available if somebody wants it.
Okay.
You know, it's in PDF form. Um, so if anybody wants to, you know, get it, people can let me know.
Yeah, they could just hit you direct.
Yeah, they can
To
hit me. They can let me know directly.
okay.
And we can just talk about that later. However,
No, no, that's fine. Because I want to go over whatever you had anyway,
yeah,
about any products or services,
yeah,
anything that you provide. But for right now, I was gonna probably get them started with knowing you and talking about some of
yeah.
the things that you
So
want to talk about. But definitely, I want them to know everything and
yeah,
wrap it up with your services and products.
yeah. So basically, after you know how I ended up becoming a vegan chef, I just it's like it fell in my lap to me. Um, I don't know how. Like I always say, the ancestors just do it. God does it the way they want to do it, and I think I just started doing how I started was I started doing videos about what I was
Mhm.
making. And I just started talking more. Like I started like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this YouTube channel, I'm just gonna start doing whatever. And then people ended up finding out in Atlanta that I was, you know, a vegan chef, and I, you know, I got blessed to cook raw foods for Erica Badu. She came in for a week. Um and I got to be blessed. One of her friends knew who I was, and they was like, "You still here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So they asked me to cook for her, so I did raw foods for her for a week, and then you know I had the pleasure of doing stuff for Honorable C Note. He's a music producer in the industry, and you know I had
Mm.
the pleasure of cooking for Waka Flocka. You know he visited my home at one point, and he came over due to
Mhm.
other family members, and got to cook for him. So it was, you know, it's and I've done oh, what's it called? The green hip hop thing. I forgot what it's like, some green hip hop event that they had at
Mhm.
Seven Nanda. So I got to, you know, just talk to people and have a platform. It's, you know, it's been a ride. It's been a blessing.
I'm
And then
sorry, Empress. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make this very clear to everybody. She is not just a chef, okay? She has been a celebrity chef, okay? Vegan chef, a celebrity vegan chef. So she does this. I just want to make sure it's completely clear. This is what she does. She does more than this. We're going to talk about more than
yeah.
just
Well, see,
uh, vegan chef.
when I when I started, you know, I've been in the music. I was in the music industry in '96. So, you know, I was in a girls group. I was signed. So I've been in the industry for a while, but I left that alone. You know, when you go through things, and this is what I want to tell people. It doesn't matter how old we are. Sometimes, you know, they always tell us, oh, when you know you're older now, you're not supposed to do these things no more. You're older now, you know, you got to figure out something else with life, right? And I always tell everybody, and I've got taught this by my father, you're never too old to learn. And you're
Right.
never too old to get into something that you love to do. And that's the
Mhm.
problem with our people. We settle.
Ooh, you hit it
And
on the head.
the settling has to stop. We've been settling since slavery. And we're enslaved by a lot of many things, not just by the 40 acres and a mule, not just by what our ancestors went through. And I tell people all the time, and some people might not agree with me with this, but I tell people all the time, okay, when I look at my ancestors and I look at the pain and the agony and the struggle that my ancestors went through, to have me be able to have the platforms that I've had, to be able to be on videos, to be able to walk into restaurants, to be able to sleep in hotels and things like that. I've had my 40 acres and a mule. Okay? So I'm not, for me, I'm not out here going, you need to give me my reparation. No, you know what my reparation is? To free my people. You know what my reparation is? To see my people free. You know what my reparation is? To make sure that these children, that I don't drop the ball, because people dropped the ball before I came. And we have to pick up what they didn't do. So we have to not drop our ball. And we have to stand up. I've never in my life would think that we would have to, we're not closed-minded people. We're not coons. We're not monkeys. We're animalistic. You know, when I look at melanated people, I look at all walks of life. If we're going to get animalistic, it's because, okay, you done crossed the line, Caroline is about to be poltergeist. And my ancestors is right here with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the God body in us. When we have to cross the line, Caroline, you know, cross that line, Caroline, like, okay, I'm going to show you poltergeist, right? So we are the most loving, will take any racial children and raise them as our own. And I've seen it. I've seen black women and black families take care of other racial children. I come from a mixed family, so I know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My grandfather was the president of the NAACP for our county in Washington, Pennsylvania, when I was growing up. So to see him, even him being for our county in Washington, Pennsylvania, for him to be, you know, the president of the NAACP, and then to still have a Jewish friend, you know, and all these different things. I've seen things differently, you know. And
you know something, I'm glad that you brought it up. And I'm sorry, I would just like to add to what you were saying on the whole slavery, because slavery was more of even there's a lot of debate right now on whether we really were even slaves in the first place. And I'm not going to have that debate today, but I will say this: it is definitely more. It definitely has been that way in the mind. Period. And we can all agree on that part.
We're enslaved in the mental state.
And it's us to.
Here's what I'm going to say. Being an E5 priestess, you know, walking in as an E5 practitioner, being an Egungun priestess, which is an ancestor priestess in Ifa. It's a Yoruba culture. It's a 10-year plus binary system, just like the I Ching. And when you go through the history of Yoruba and the history of Nigeria, the Yoruba people and the Haitian people were the last of the slaves. They were hard to get, meaning they're Ashe. So when I see everybody, you know, when, you know, people say Hotep, you know, peace, and, you know, and it becomes a trend when, you know, you got everybody saying Ashe, you know, and, you know, the way, you know, everything, man, and Ashe and all these other things, you see everybody saying everything, and it becomes a trend. But when I say Ashe, when I, you know, I'm saying Somo to be, but also I'm honoring that power, that goddess power in that human being that is from the Oludumare, which people will call Jesus, God, Christian, Christos, Buddha, Hare Krishna, Shiva, whatever our walk is, you know, whatever you want to call the reference of the creator, the source.
Right.
You know, that's you. You know, that we should have that ability to do that with freedom, without judgment. And that's where I feel with religion, you know, coming from a monastery, being a minister from a monastery, coming from out of that and seeing it in a different way, you know, because when you get When you walk in, when you get ordained to be a minister through a monastery, they already ordain you when you walk through the door.
You know something? Cause I know you probably blew people's minds with everything that you just said. Your background.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell everybody, just finish up your background on everything that you
Okay.
have done, so then they'll know? Because I know they're like, wait a minute, she just said she was talking about the Orishas, and now she's saying that she's a minister.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys,
So,
she's multifaceted. she has a lot. Please.
Okay, so my background is, I am a, I will say, and I can't deny it, that, I am a neo soul artist, but I took a break on that, on the music industry part. Holistically, I am a holistic therapist. I am a Reiki 1 and 2 master. I am a herbalist. I am a holistic chef. I am a meditational guide. I am a guru in that. I heal people with that. I heal people with herbs, like tonics, everything, crystal healing, you name it, I'm doing it. I am a priestess in Ifa, but yes, I did get I went through a monastery and I became an ordained minister, and that was in 2017. I did do that because that's when I ended up shifting into Ifa, but I still was doing the ordained ministry through Life University. So I walked many cloths, and this is why I try to tell people that doesn't mean somebody's lost. No. And I had to sit with my source and ask why. And the reason why I had to walk those walks to be able to have that dialogue with, if I'm sitting with a Hebrew Israelite and a Hebrew Israelite is talking to me, I have to be humble, right? So when two people are gathered, God is present.
That's right.
So when two people are sitting there, even though they come from many lands or different lands, I might walk away and not agree with you, but I might sit with myself later on and go, it is similar to what is being said in my Quran, what you said in your book of Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? But it's two different dialogues.
Right. And we all have to go through that. You have to do multiple things. That's what brings you at where you are today. That's how you became where you are today.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm able to tap in. I'm able to help people. I've helped people with depression. I've helped people with suicide attempts. I've helped women with awareness with trauma. I've have adults that are part of the Wooism tribe. I've created a group called Wooism. It's the Wooism Awakening group, and I haven't made it public yet on Telegram, but I do have it, and I'm going to make it public. It's when Spirit wanted me to, because it's a lot,
Right.
Because you have to know, as adults, wherever you're walking, I don't care if it's Egyptology, and even when I was studying Malachi York, when I was Nuwapian, when I studied all those things, and I became that dialogue and that path, that helped me realize who I was in a whole different perspective. It helped me realize what the Nativity was within religion or spirituality, is because we're not surrendering. It's easy for you to trust a human because why? You can see them or you could touch them. But I've always asked this to one of my clients: are they really there, or did you make them up? Am I really here with you, or did you make this up? And they're like, well, that's kind of deep. No, because you're not thinking out the box. When you start thinking out of people, places, and things, and you start asking those questions and those awakenings, you're there. Now your source is going to come even stronger on you. Your guides are going to come now. Your ancestors are going, okay, now they're ready.
Right. You're right. And you're right when you mention about Africa, because America was the west part of Africa. And we call it, that's why we call it, also Morocco and stuff like that. And when we talk about the Moors and stuff, because this was also part of the Congo. I mean, all of that. So basically, just, to kind of sum it up, we are all connected. We've never been disconnected. So we are here, even though that a lot of us may have thought that they came over in some type of slave ship. That is not true.
We were
You
already
have
here.
always, yeah, we were
The thing
already
about it, we
here.
were already here. The ones, like I said, when you look, there's a book called the Yoruba Concepts. Okay, it's called the Yoruba Concept Religion, religious book. And when you read the story about the Yoruba people and the Haitian people, the Yoruba people were taking enslaved. They wasn't enslaved. They were enslaved in Jamaica and Cuba and those islands first. Then they took the Yoruba people and enslaved them in Denmark and London and England, then came to America. See, this is the things that people think. They think they just came straight to America, the enslaved. The slaves came to America. No, we were enslaved in Jamaica. We were slaves in Cuba. Read the book. You gotta, if you don't believe, like I always say, if you don't believe me, check it out. There's so many scholars have always said that, right? It's up to you to be the student and to study. You don't just believe somebody. You have to go, check it out for yourself. And
That's right.
whatever your discernment is, whatever your discernment is. When you look at the word believe is be lie or be live. You're lying in your living. Television telling lies to your vision. People are more attracted to the negativity more than they are attracted to the positive.
You know what? I always say that to people. I say, would you rather? Would rather hear and live a beautiful lie than to hear the ugly truth?
Mhm.
And give me the ugly truth. I just want the truth. I don't want
I
the
rather
beautiful lie.
here's my thing. I think with every client that I've ever had, even with people that get, readings from me, with mediumship, when people come get readings from me with their ancestors and, just wanting to know where they're at, I don't sugarcoat. And I tell them up in the front, like, okay, here's the thing. This is not my voice. This is my voice talking to you, but this is going to be the ancestors are coming. And sometimes it's your higher self that comes to visit me because I'm that portal, that doorway, because you don't want to look at yourself in the mirror and face yourself. And that's the problem with our people. That's the problem with the human race, period. You want to put a mirror in front of that mirror that you're looking at every day in that bathroom, and that reflection is actually, if you stood there and you actually really told yourself, hey, I'm sorry for what I've done to us. If the more you focus, that reflection is going to talk back to you, and that's when I always got told by the Spirit, that's when you'll see God, because that reflection
Mm.
is the God looking at you through that mirror like, hello.
That
Why?
is powerful.
So
Hmm.
when I have clients doing mirror exercises, there's tears. And I've had men come out of my meditation classes, tears, because one thing that all adults on this world have forgotten is that inner child. And when we forget our inner child, that little girl, that little boy, because a lot of us had to grow up, a lot of us had to raise our other siblings, a lot of us had to grow up fast, a lot of us were in foster care, a lot of us were, living with grandma, living with papa, whoever we was living with. We had to go through what we went through, and we were hurt as a child because mom or dad wasn't there, or our mom transcended, or our father transcended when I was born, or things like that. So our inner child has not been healed, and that's why that child is important. That inner child, that little girl, that little boy, and every adult is important. That reason being is because once you heal on that inner child, your adult embodiment and that inner child can merge together, and you can feel whole again.
That's right.
And that's why our people, we're so everywhere. And I even told one of my clients one time, I was like, you're not even caught up in your own body. You don't even own your soul. They're like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, you don't own you. You're here in a human experience. You were up in the heavens in Olaroon. This is how I was shown. We were there. The ancestors, we was at a big meeting. They named our family last name, and they're like, who's going down again? Because this isn't done, right? And
Right.
everybody's like, I ain't going, I'm not doing it. I'm staying right here. I'm not doing it. This is no, 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 no. If you were like a little kid behind the desk talking about, I'll do it. And everybody's like gasping for air, like, do you know what you just signed up for? You know?
Yeah, you're right. We were
And
just talking about that the other day in the group.
yeah, and you signed up for it, so they're like, all right, send them down. Send them down.
Mhm.
And you didn't know through a certain period of your life, you was like, I don't know where I'm at. Even right now, as an adult, who am I? We have to ask that question. Who am I? You know, who am I? Why am I here? You have to ask yourself that. Forgive your mother. You know, I forgave my mom. You know, my mom didn't raise me. My dad, you know, he worked his tailbone off day and night, you know, to raise me. My mom didn't raise me. My
Mhm.
grandparents did. You know, so I was more on my Asian side of the family. You know,
Mhm.
my grandfather, you know, black man, but he was Irish, German, Dutch. You know, my grandfather fought in World War II, so it was like he brought my grandmother over, and you know, and it's so beautiful to see the list from. We have the paper from World War II, and they're all, it's from the ship, and I'm like, wow, this is just like, you know, it's dope to know that. You know, it's
Mhm.
really cool to
Mhm.
know those things. So it took me years to heal about my mom. You know, for me, that's what made me get into gangs and be very rebellious. That, you know, that made me want to get in the streets more, you know, and hustle. That made me want to be out in that life, being a female, you know. And I had a child at a young age. I did, you know, and he grew up to be a beautiful, great gentleman. Great. All my children are beautiful. I don't regret them for nothing, you know. Um,
That's right. As you should. As you
yeah,
should.
they're my life force. You know,
That's
when I
right.
think they're my force, that's what I live because of them. I don't live for
Mhm.
me. Um, that's everybody's like, well, you gotta take a break. I'm here. I know my purpose. You know, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm
Mhm.
okay with helping people break mirrors. That's my $1,000,000. And everybody's like, that is so weird that you say that. I'm like, no, that's not weird. And even while I'm saying that, I can feel it in my soul, in my spirit, when I go to see somebody free, to see you break your mirror. That's my $1,000,000
Yeah.
because I can sit there and go, you just broke that damn shit that was on your generation for years. Do you
Mhm.
not know how major key alert that is? Well, guess what? Here comes the opposition. I forgot to tell you that. You know, when you break free, when you break them chains, here comes the higher you go in spirituality, the higher you change your frequency with eating. Here comes opposition. Why
Mhm.
is it that opposition comes? Because now that other side knows, oh no, they're becoming who they are to be.
Here's the
Don't
test.
think, don't think, you know, do not think
Mhm.
that when you was going down that spiritual canal to your mother's womb that there
Mhm.
wasn't no oppositions. Now, don't think you got good ancestors, you got bad ancestors, and you have celestial ancestors. So it's not just the ancestors from who walked the earth with us,
That's right.
you know. And this is where we have to go deeper in. But where you're really going to get that main answer is when you shut up and you listen and you sit still
Mhm.
and you hear within the true voice.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because you pretty much segued into the next uh thing that I wanted to discuss, and you kind of touched on it before we started recording, and
Mhm.
that was the energies.
Mhm.
You remember you were talking about the energies and stuff that's going on this planet, and I would like you to go into that a little bit more about the energies, and
Okay.
also kind of tell people how the foods we eat and the different
Okay.
foods that we should eat to help us
Yeah,
with
because
our health.
I was gonna go into that as far as when you're starting off veganism, you know, just being a vegan. You know, I had an honor to meet Dr. Sabi's daughter, such a sweetheart.
Hmm.
You know, to sit with his nephew. I did a misa with Dr.
Mhm.
Sabi's family one night. Very, very beautiful family. Very,
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
beautiful family. And you know, Dr. Sabi, and I'm gonna say this about Dr. Sabi, because the spirit is like over me wants me to say this. Dr. Sebi was past his time. Knowledge, nothing, no one can touch Dr. Sebi. I'm going to keep it real. I don't care how, I mean, yeah, I give honor and respect to all holistic people, but Dr. Sebi had more to give to this planet.
Right.
You know, and
Mm-hmm.
he's still doing it, and he's doing it through the new holistic people. You know,
That's right.
and Mama Africa. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them. If you know, we got to remember who opens the doorways and give honor and respect to. You know, and don't have ego and go, well, I'm better than Dr. Sebi. You would never even knew this stuff if it wasn't for any of
He
them.
definitely opened the door for so many
Yes.
people.
So many in Mama Africa, all of them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to pay homage because, see, I always tell people, just because the physical body dies, the soul and the spirit doesn't. So they're still present, and they're still
Right.
watching. It's in they're
Right.
just in a different form,
That's
you
right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
different format. So when I want to talk about the energies, last year, and so much this year has been confirmation for me. Last year, when I first started the Healing Boutique on Facebook, it was a group. And, you know, I was doing the spiritual readings and I was getting everybody to work on their inner child and things like that. One day, Spirit just came completely over me. The ancestors, this whoosh, just came heavy. And I was on live. I said, listen, get ready to stack up your food. And they're like, what? I was like, something's coming. I said, there's something going on in this government. There's something going on to where we're going to have to stock our food. And we're going to have to learn how to garden. And we're going to have to learn these things. This is what the guides are telling me. And, I mean, I was telling people this last year. This year it comes around, and I'm like, now I hear other people who have platforms, you need to get your food. I'm like, oh, my God. You know, but here's the thing. The 5G towers, next the 10G towers, you know, they've been studying melanin for a long time, the melanin in our body. And there's a video called The Wonders of Electric of Melanin. And the only way you can find this is if you Google search it. When you Google search, it's like The Wonders of the Electricity of Melanin. And when you listen to the video, it literally tells you that they've been studying melanin, and because the reason why they want to use it for the 10G battery, they're looking to use biodegradable things, is because melanin naturally creates electricity, naturally.
Right.
Okay? So, then you have Jeff Bozeman. I guess he's working with some lab thing. And all this stuff is in the news. Like, can't get mad at me for saying it.
Right.
But he's actually looking to build stuff for youth, the Fountain of Youth, and the genetics. And he's working with this Auto Labs or something like that. You have to look it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the only way they do that, and even with black women, and I will say this to all my sisters, when you have a child, and the reason why I'm going into this, because I want to talk about the energy, why I'm going into this, they are taking people's children.
Right.
Okay? And there was a young lady that I know. I'd warned her before she went in to have her 10th child. I said, listen, comply. I hope you ain't smoked nothing. I hope you ain't smoked no weed. I hope you didn't do anything. Because, you know, they're gonna take people. They're trying to take people's children, black children.
Mm-hmm.
And not even within the day, she called me. She said they took my child. I said, what? I said, why did they take your child? And she was like, because, you know, she has pain from her heart, her blood pressure or whatever, so she took a pill for pain, and they considered it that she was on a drug addict.
Wow.
So they took all her children, got separated.
Wow.
All 10 of her children, and she's young. And the children, only ones, there's some with family, but the only other ones are with Child Protective Services. And I said, she's a good girl. The girl doesn't even do drugs. So now she has to get mental health evaluation, and she has to get a job, and she has to find another place to live in order to get her children back. It's deep, you know. And two of her children, one of them's autistic, and she's been molested, and the other child, the boy, the twin boy, has been molested. So you know, she's a worried mom.
Yeah. Oh my
Because the
God.
one, if she gets hurt, the child that's autistic can't speak,
Right.
so she can't even tell if somebody even touches her or do anything. But
Mhm.
we're not protecting our children, right? So it's like, okay, where do we go from there? And I'm gonna go. Reason why I'm saying that, because I'm gonna say about this energy that's going on. So they're studying all these different things.
Mhm.
They're doing all these different things. Now you don't know what's organic, because the organic, if you look at the food, if there's no seeds in your organic vegetables or fruit, it's not organic. It's GMO. Let's get this straight. There's not a seed in your damn banana, and even though it says organic, it's not organic.
Yep, that's number one.
Yeah. Number one is seeds. Even if how you have organic seedless grapes, but then the grapes that are not organic have seeds in them.
Right.
So you're flipping things. So you guys got to start learning the codes, like the 9 zeros, or you got to find out if it was traditionally grown, GMO, or things of that nature. You have to literally, please study those numbers. And I do teach that about the coding on food and things of that nature. But let's go back to the energy. People are going crazy. I've seen two people yesterday in the
Mhm.
store, and I'm going to call that thing the Pokemon. I'm not going to call it by its name. I don't give it energy. But everybody who has got the Pokemon,
I call
okay,
it the bot shot.
yeah, I'm going to call it Pokemon, okay?
Mhm.
And that Pokemon is going to make people lose their head tops. And what the gas that they're letting off, in New York, is going to mess with those who have got that shot. The frequency, the earth is shifting. You have to realize we're part of Mother Earth. So she's purging, women are purging. And now they're saying if this moon disappears, what's going to happen to women? Because we
Mhm.
cipher with the moon. Men are the sun, women are the moon.
Mhm.
So if we cipher with the moon, what's going to happen? Women are going to go off. They're going to be
Right.
off cycle. Their cycle's not going to be on time. A lot of different things. If that moon leaves and the moon disappears, we're going to go into ice age. Are y'all ready for Eskimo clothing? No, you have
Right.
to live in igloos.
Mhm.
So we're not the energy is not just from um it's not just, and I don't care if anybody thinks I'm crazy. Listen, that Galactic Confederation, these beings, all this stuff. We're not the only people alive. Okay, we're not the only living people. And if you don't even know if God's human or not, period. And this is the thing. What if God was an extraterrestrial? Have you seen God? I've asked people all the time that. You pray to a source that you have never seen before. But if you look inside yourself deeply, you will see that energy source within you. But have you physically, with your physical eye, have met God?
Right.
You know? So when I say these things, people are like, man, she's crazy, whatever. It don't matter to me. I'm still gonna live my life. I know my path, and I know what's being awakened in me.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
goal is to awaken other people. Now, when we go through the foods, like I said, the energies are here because there are things moving that you cannot see. I have had visions where they've showed me, where the guides have showed me, um, that there are certain beings, people who have the Pokemon, they're being drained because of the magnetic force. There's a magnetic, there's a magnet inside that Pokemon that you're being pulled by the gravity. Like it's draining you. You're being pulled by those towers. You're being pulled by many forces when you have the Pokemon inside you.
Right. Right. And you
You
know
know,
what's I don't know if you have gotten this, and it's came to you as well through spirit and so forth. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also getting a vibe of that particular bot shot has been cutting people off from source. I've
Well,
been
yes,
getting
it
that a
has.
lot.
It actually is to deplete.
Hmm.
It's funny you said that. I had a vision about, it was like 10 children, and they showed me that 5 of them were in this type of building, this facility, and another 5 was like running rampant. So in the vision that I was having during my sleep, these 5 children were actually, there was this blue liquid which represented the Pokemon, and this blue liquid that they were being put inside their body were actually depleting their memory of their ancestry and depleting their decoding of their blood.
Mm.
And it was showing me that. So when I came out of it, I was like, and so I wrote it out, and I had to sit with spirit. I was like, okay, what are you showing me? And it was like, we're showing you this is what's happening to people.
Right.
We're showing you that they're, and I noticed it, I'm not going to lie, some of my family members act different as Hootie Brown. Like, like I've seen them zone out. I've seen them just like they don't know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's really sad because you got now families separated.
Right.
Oh, I don't want you over here. You don't have the shot. I don't want
Right.
you over here. You don't have the Pokemon. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not accepting anybody in my house. I was just at your house. Well, what about when you had you got diabetes, right? Yeah. You got high blood pressure, right? Yeah. You got issues, right? Yeah. So why I didn't come over? I should never came over when you had those. Ain't those contagious? No. Then what are you talking about? You know, we're forgetting that we still have diabetes out here. We're forgetting that still cancer exists. We're forgetting that we still have health ailments. So now they're coming out with new variants. And now in Long Island, a gentleman was talking about in ISIS's group, talking about the rodents, talking about there was rodents in Long Island all over the ground. And I spoke in that, I made a comment and said, that's not human. Why those animals are dying. And that's not human energy why they're ending up in people's homes. I said, I'm being told by spirit it's not that. And so now there was a listing, and I guess in the news, that Long Island had a disease outbreak in New York. So they're talking about other variants, like other things. Here's the thing. You can, only thing that you can do to a virus is add to it. You can't create one. And
right.
people need to realize that. You can't create a virus. All you're doing is adding. If I took chickenpox and added some other stuff, it'd be a different type of virus, a disease.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm hearing that all those lives inside your body anyway,
Well, we do.
and it gets activated basically through having a low immune system. So when your
Yeah,
immune
so
system
we
is down,
already have cancer in our body naturally. We naturally
right.
already have cancer. What happens is as we get older, the ATP, the ATP cells, they get hard and we lose oxygen. That's why it's best when you start becoming 40 years old, all the way down, that you start taking chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a green plant. You drop it in your water. It brings oxygen to your blood cells. You know, sea moss. Sea moss has more than 18 minerals and vitamins. It has a lot of minerals and vitamins, including oxygen. The scientists just hasn't figured it out. Okay. People who have cancer, soursop is an anti-cancer fight. You need to get soursop put in your system. Black seed oil, like I said, chlorophyll. Here's what I feel about certain things. It's a green powder. Moringa, great for the body. Camu, one of the highest vitamin C powders. Burdock root, bladderwrack, those things for your detoxing. Neem, oregano. They try to say that you can't get rid of herpes 1, simplex herpes 1 and 2. Yes, you can. For those of you who have herpes out here, you can get rid of herpes naturally. There are herbs that will wipe you out clean, but you have to be willing to do the detox. Once you get rid of the mucus out of your body, you won't have a disease.
That's right.
Once you lose the weight, you won't have a disease. Also, when a woman is pregnant, her baby is not feeding on what she's eating now. The baby is feeding off of what's 18 months that's still in the lining of her stomach. The reason why we have a stomach still is not just because of backed up bowel. It's also because when we have backed up bowel in our system, is because the lymphatic system above the belly button and below the belly button, that's where your lymphatic system, if you tap on it and start massaging it, if you massage it to the left, going towards your left way, and you start hitting those areas of the lymphatic system, and those areas getting it moved, your bowel will start moving. When you do it the other way to the right side, they're making your body more constipated. So we have to learn how to massage our own digestive systems.
Right.
And there's a manuka plug in the large intestine and small intestine. So if you take a teaspoon of black charcoal and you take some cayenne pepper and you take lemon and just a teaspoon of vinegar, apple cider vinegar. And the reason why I'm saying teaspoon, don't do too much, because apple cider vinegar actually messes with women's pH. Even though they say, oh, take some apple cider vinegar when you have a yeast infection. No, it actually messes with your pH. It actually makes things worse. So I don't suggest vinegar baths, all like that. I don't, You know, tea tree oil baths, you eating right, stay away from certain things.
Right.
A lot of yeast, a lot of pastas causes yeast infections. Also, to my brothers out here, if you're not circumcised, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, because that's another reason how women, their pH is low, because of men who are not circumcised and they don't take care of themselves and they're not clean like that every time that they, urinate and things of that nature. And then you're having sex with your significant other or somebody random, they end up having BV or, a yeast infection, things of that nature. And so, sorry, I don't know if
that's
you heard
some good information. Yeah, no, we heard that.
That's my daughter. The kitten's in heat. So the cat is actually attacking the owner, which is my 18-year-old daughter.
Okay. Oh goodness.
My house is never an ending. It's from the time you wake up, it's probably to the time we all go back to sleep. It's a nonstop source.
Right.
Of excitement. Right. So that's life. But,
same here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So we got to take care of ourselves when it comes to our mental. Now, when it comes to the food. Now, the digestive system is the main brain. They say it's the second brain, but actually it's the main brain. So this is why it is the main brain, because once you start taking in, and it's including your words, everything you're digesting.
That's right. People don't think of that.
From what you read, from what you speak, from what you listen to, everything's food.
Food for thought.
Everything's food. And I'm going to say this is because when you eat something, it goes from the digestive system. It goes through a process, and then it hits the vagus nerve. So if the vagus nerve gets severed from the large intestines, from the intestines, it still will work. But what that vagus nerve is doing is it goes to the vagus nerve, it shoots up to your spine, which is the kundalini, and it hits the chemicals, all the things that you have ate, all those nourishments and everything hits the brain and your head. Then it goes to your organs. I don't know anybody that's saying that, oh, well, it goes to the organs. No, it doesn't. It doesn't hit the organs. The organs are the last. It goes through a system. It has to go through the system process. So really, you're not supposed to be eating anything after 9, 10 o'clock until like about 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 is the best time really to eat something. If you're going to do something in the morning, you need to do a smoothie or drink tea, something warm. Drink your warm room temperature lemon water in the morning. when you first wake up. Not no bacon, not no ham hocks, not no grits, not no shrimp, not no cheese and nothing like that, because your body is not even up. You could tell you're not up in the beginning in the first place when how you wake up.
You know something, Empress, that's so is so important, and I'm glad that you pointed that out because through my study as well, they stated, back in the day, I think they were talking about Egyptian times and stuff, that when they wanted to kill themselves, they would eat 3 times a day.
Mhm.
The best time to eat was between 12 to 2,
Mhm.
around that time, because your metabolism is
Mhm.
speeding up and going. So it's funny that you brought that up because you're right. You wouldn't you'll want to do something
Yeah,
like.
because according to the Ayurvedic system, which is over,
Mhm.
I studied Ayurvedic herbs. I'm I love Ayurvedic herbs and I love the Chinese medicine. And even in the Mexican land, even in Mexico, their herbs are good. In Asia, their herbs are good. Here, our herbs are good in America. That's where like the rosemary and things like that. But the Indian herbs, those are Vedic herbs and things, and that's the thing. When people learn herbs, and this is what you have to not. Every herb is not meant to mix together, because you have to learn. Okay, this herb is a hot herb. This herb is a warm herb. This is a cold herb.
Interesting.
They
Mhm.
all Everything has an energy.
Mhm.
Right now, you and I we don't see each other, but right now through our voice or through this system, we're exchanging energy.
That's right.
I don't have to see you to not know that even if I'm on here with you and Spirit will go, she's going, you got to tell her about something later on. Tell her, make sure that she finishes our book.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that was something the Spirit was like, tell her she needs to finish her book, but I already said it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mhm.
So I don't have to see you. And this is a lot, a lot of people, a lot of clients, a lot of people, they get freaked out when I do that. They're like, I'm not even with you. How do you know these things? I'm like, because that's my gift. That's the gift that the creator, the Oludumare, the creator gave. You don't abuse your gifts. So everything has an energy. Everything. Everything has an energy. You think that your walls in your house don't have an energy, you better think again. Because when you walk into a new home and you go into an apartment or you go into a home and you go, something feels weird in here. Who lived in this house?
Right.
Them walls wasn't clean. Just because the apartment complex cleans that apartment for the next person to move in and puts new carpet, the energy of that frequency of the people who lived there before and the before and before and before, and even if somebody died, they're still there. That's
Mhm.
why when people transcend in their home, I tell people, lift up the window and tell them they can go.
Right.
To follow the guide, they can go through now. No, people want to close it. They don't even open up. I can feel my grandmother in here. Duh, you didn't open the window and tell her that she can go? Or did she decide to stay? When we leave here, we have to let go of all things, including
Including the
how
ego.
including how we love food. Yeah. Because if somebody really loved Burger King every day of their life, I'm talking about loved it like it was their husband and wife, do you know they're going to leave with that energy here? They're going to go from the physical plane to the cipher of the mental plane. It's different abodes. You have the
Mhm.
physical, the mental, the spiritual, and then all the abodes. So when you are going to each abode, why am I still stuck over here? I left there. Why? No, because you didn't let go. Oh man, they're eating a turkey burger. Oh, I used to love turkey. Oh, you see what I'm saying? The attachment of earth.
Right.
So you gotta when you leave here, you gotta know my children are good, everybody's good, because you could come back whenever the hell you want to, unless you got your judgment is otherwise.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, the way of the feather of Ma'at. You have to go through your gates. Everybody just
Right.
thinks those. I had to tell one of my family members, I was like, you think they're in heaven? Yeah, they're in the sky, they're in heaven. How did you get here? In my mother's womb. What were you sitting in? Water. So where do you think they're at? Oh, come on. I said, no, you came by water, you're going to go return back to the water.
That is deep, Empress.
And that's you come as a child, and this is what I want to tell everybody. When you came here to this earth, you were a baby, and you grow up to be an adult.
Mhm.
Then as we watch our grandparents and they get Alzheimer's and dementia. It's not Alzheimer's and dementia. What are they going? They start remembering what their childhood. They start acting baby-like, right?
Right.
They start acting like a child. Why? Because in the Bible it stated that when you are childlike and you are in a form of innocence of a child, you receive the kingdom of heaven.
Mhm.
So if I'm watching an elder start acting becoming more childlike, going back in their memory of being a child again, back to a baby, what are they doing? They're receiving, going back as a baby again.
Mm.
So we don't look at it like that.
Mhm.
Because they're like, oh, no, I'm not. You do got to become childlike. You're going back innocence regardless. But your hands and your feet will talk for you of your walk. So I'm a firm believer of your good always has to weigh out your bad. And if your good has to weigh out your bad in your life, so should your food.
Right.
You know, so should your mental health.
Mhm.
What you listen to. A lot of adults don't know how to. They like, I'm good. I ain't mad. Yeah, you're still mad at your brother. I ain't talking to him. That's still part of your mental health. You're still holding on. Why are you bad? Why you can't let go? Okay, how can we fix this? Then we have to ask, okay, is that something that you went through as a child? Yeah, now I'm sitting here, yeah. I was doing that when I was a kid. So now it's in your adulthood. So you still got that same energy. How do we
Right.
figure that out? And then it's not balancing out because the alcohol. It's not balancing out because of the Newports, the pig urine, and the fiberglasses and Newports. We're not balancing out because of certain things, certain foods. Everything is not organic, people. Everything is not what it seems to be. Because as soon as everything became vegan, ooh, they start tampering. The soil is not good to even garden. You have to start getting buckets or tubs. And, someone asked me, well, how do you know the seeds that you buy from to plant seeds or the garden are good? I said, how do you know? You're going to have to start getting the seeds that you get from your fruits and that were organic. And you're going to have to somehow learn how to dehydrate them. I learned from a gentleman named Richard Campbell. He's a black scientist out of D.C. He
Mhm.
wrote a book about gardening gravel. It's river rocks and play sand. Literally, the play sand that you get from you put out for the kids and little turtle thing.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So I learned how to grow food with the river rocks because the river rocks, if you get them from Home Depot and Lowe's, it's still wet, but they have copper and magnesium and all these minerals inside those river rocks. And so if you poke the hole, take half a gallon of like a jug, poke small holes in it, and then what you're gonna do is put your seeds in there. You're gonna put the gravel, the sand, the gravel and the sand, under 75 to 100-watt light bulb. You can get like those silver pans that they use for planting pot, planting and stuff like that. You can get one of those silver things, and if you put those things in there, within 7 days you'll sprout in your house.
Take notes, people.
It is. I have the book. I don't have it in near me at the time, but if you ask me about the book, his name is Richard Campbell. Richard Campbell is a black scientist. He actually proved that you can grow marijuana in the desert. Because everybody's like, you can't grow nothing in the desert. Yes, he did. He grew watermelon and he grew marijuana in the desert. He proved it. Him and his father. He's a black scientist from out of D.C.
You know something? I have a PDF about growing in the desert as well. I don't know if it was from him because I do not remember. But I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to try to push at least one of those, if I can find it, out to the group so people can have that about growing, just in case they're in those areas. That's important.
Well, what's going on is now is Colorado, um, Colorado's water is drying up, and the reason why I'm going to say that is the deities are pissed. Mother
Mm-hmm.
is really pissed. I don't even know how to say it, but
Another way. It's what it is.
it's pissed. They're pissed, and I'm
Right.
going to be real. Our ancestors are pissed. I'm going to
Yeah.
be real. Our
Mhm.
ancestors are highly pissed off, and when I look at things and I sit
Mhm.
back, I'm like, wow, like I read Robert Greene 48 Laws of Power. Like I've read The Pale White Horse. I've read these books, and I'm like, nobody else hasn't read these books like this, like The Art of War, like all these books that you wouldn't think to read. I'm like, I think people need to start reading these books because it's like right in your face.
Right. Mhm.
And it's always like, oh, the Illuminati, Illuminati, Illuminati. I'm like, and I tell people all the time, there's something bigger than them.
You're
Something
right.
way bigger than them. You need to get past them.
Mhm.
Like you got to get past everything right now. So when it comes to eating, I
Mhm.
suggest when it comes to detoxing, I've done water fast, and if you're going to do a water fast, make sure there's certain herbs that you need to have. I suggest people to do teas, and it's a lot. You got to have your mental right. It's a mental thing. It's a
Right.
mental, very much.
Mhm.
Just like I said, your skin. When like your skin too. This is another memory brain, the skin. So if somebody touches you, if you were a person who were molested, and somebody touches you and they don't know what you went through, and you're like, please don't touch me, because you
Mhm.
just had a memory. So this skin has so much data in it, mentally,
Right.
physically, spiritually, by the touch. This helps you also. It's not just a cover up. It's not just a protection of the bones. This has so much energy, so much data in it, coding in it, and it's from your years of your life. So how do we wake up? Might be the question, everybody. Okay, so how do I change my life? First things first, be accountable. Look
That's
yourself in the
right.
face and say, hey, I'm messed up. Get my shit together.
Yeah. It
Well,
starts there. It starts there first.
when you're accountable, stop telling everybody else what they need to do. What do you need to do?
Mhm.
And we touched on many different subjects, and I know it feels like it's like random here and here in bits and pieces, but it all adds up in one circle, one combined nip and caboodle. Because if, like I said, they're having sightings of UFOs. Why every day? My friend lives in Vegas, and she goes, these fighter jets keep going up. Why are you letting off bombs in the water? And I have
Mhm.
a vision that there's going to be a war in the water. I just had this a week ago, last week, matter of fact. I seen it, and they showed me these submarines, and there was a particular ship that was in the water that when we let off one of the rockets, and this ship couldn't touch. And then when I woke up, I actually seen that China created some type of ship that could withstand electricity. And I'm like, what the hell? You know?
Mm.
And I remember like last year I was reading up some stuff, and I read that what was it? I read that they built over in China, they built the submarine to go deeper into the water. Listen, my whole spirit said, come on, Linda, we've been waiting for y'all a long time. You want to come down? Come deeper.
Mhm.
You know, there's
Mhm.
things in that water that
Yep.
you wish that you wouldn't. So, when you hear that you can't visit Antarctica because, and I said, why you can't visit Antarctica? Then my friend was like, because of the Black Pyramids. They found Black Pyramids in Antarctica. And I said, oh, they went over there, and my spirit said, oh, they went over there, and they knew that they wasn't supposed to be dealing with them beings. And beings was like, listen, what are you doing here? Then they mentioned, they were saying Nibiru was in Antarctica right now. I kept feeling, I was at a shaman medicine event, and I was on spiritual medicine, and I kept feeling the earth tilting, and I kept telling my friend, there's tilting, there's tilting, there's tilting, the earth is tilting. Next thing you know, I come on in Telegram and I'm seeing, hey, the plates are moving in the ocean and it's tilting. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, what the hell? And my friends are looking at me like, yo, you're getting every message before it even comes out.
You know something? You're right. They said that there is a tilt. They said of the earth, period. They definitely said about the water that it fights on every terrain and even subterranean level. So that's definitely happening.
Yeah, Antarctica. There's see, people don't know, but there's actually a volcano underneath the ice that is actually bubbling. And I hate to say this, but if that erupts, we have a problem.
Well, you know something, there's a supervolcano here too in the United States, and there's like a few supervolcanoes around the world. And that would be a huge issue.
It would be a main issue for the East Coast. If Antarctica, with that volcano. But Nibiru, I know many of the galactic family and those who are open-minded have heard of Nibiru.
Right.
And Nibiru is not a planet. So let's get that straight. Okay, so they can be like, oh, Planet X. Planet X is Nibiru. Okay, how you doing? Like, let's get this straight. Nibiru is like a massive ship. It's a mothership, and it's sitting in the Antarctica. And what I got from Spirit, the ancestors, was like, we're just waiting for the go.
Yep.
And the more you hold captive, and I will say this, the more you hold captive those who need to be free, the more there's going to be problems here. And the deities, all deities, and I'm not just talking about our black gods and goddesses, our demigods, and things of that nature. And let me make this clear too. Demigods are not bad, okay?
Right.
So a lot of people think demigods are just it's a devil. I'm like, okay, here we go. We got this concept, but demigods are not bad. Everything, including us, we have dark and light. We are dark and light.
You got that right.
Okay.
You got that right.
So in Yoruba and the Ifa, I don't believe in the devil. We can be our own devil.
Right. Well, it's polarities anyway. We have both in us, the good and the bad, negative, positive, light,
and
dark.
Because the reason why I'm going to say this, and I said this to a friend of mine who's Christian, we have such a great relationship. I think it's funny because one day she tried to challenge me, and I said, well, can I ask you a question? And she said, yeah, because she was on me about my walk. And I said, well, I'm going to ask you this question. I said, you might get pissed off, but guess what? I don't even care. I said, because you need to see this. I said, so God made the devil, right? She was like, yeah. I said, uh-huh. And God made the devil in his image and likeness, right? Uh-huh. I said, so the devil does all this stuff, right? I said, how do you not know it's not God? What? I said, let me ask you this. I said, didn't it say in your Bible that the God was a revengeful God, a warrior of God, and all this other stuff? I said, in the book of Enoch, God got upset about those angels coming down having sex with those women. Okay? And those angels, God didn't want everybody to know about astrology and alchemy and all that yet, and adornments about certain type of bracelets and talismans. So what did he do? I said, your God. And I looked at her, I said, your God, with my eyes big, literally did a blood sacrifice, literally burnt and started and said in the book of Enoch, generational curse. Don't believe me? Read the book of Enoch. I said, so, was that the devil? No. Okay. I said, so, you're saying that the devil's doing nothing. I said, you don't know if God took your child. God can take anything from you to wake your ass up. That's how I'm saying it.
That's right.
God is the dark and the light. because God was not sitting in light. If God was already sitting in light, God would never have to say, let there be light.
Right.
God, the women, to all my women, your womb carries the triple primal waters of the heavens. That's where the child was born, and the triple primal waters. The amniotic fluid is primal waters. The men carry the primal waters in their head. How? Is because when a man's getting ready to have an orgasm, it does not come straight out. It goes back up through his scrotum, through his kundalini, through his brain where the water sits at, back down his spine, through the kundalini, back out, then has the orgasm. That's why he's drained.
Mm-hmm.
And asks for a sandwich. No, I'm just joking. That's a water. Sorry, my brother. You know I got to mess with y'all. But we have to know our structure of our body, because everybody just thinks, oh, we just have an orgasm. No, it goes through a process to build up to have the orgasm. And the amniotic fluid is actually the primal waters. We carry the triple darkness of God, the waters of God, the primal waters of God within us. And people never think that. And we have to realize that's what we carry, you know. And we are that force. So when I tell people, you are the candle. You don't need a candle. Well, no, those candles that we do spiritually, light a candle for money or whatever like that, we do those things because as an extra tool for the human, the laws of the earth, right? But you are the candle within your life. You are the wick. What is the wick? Your mouth. That's the will. That's the flame. That's the fire. Your chi within your solar plex. That is where God sits. When it's burning, you're like, why my stomach burning? Actually, it's not you burning from your food. It might be ingestion. It might be heartburn. But also that extra fire, like sometimes when you're not eating anything and your stomach gets hot and it's burning and it's on fire, is because that's your chi. That's where God is sitting at. The God in you is roaming. And you have to sit still and go, okay, what am I supposed to be touching?
That's interesting.
So that's the chi activating. And people, you have to move your body, you know. I have this thing that I do called Mareke flow. And it's Mareke means the creation of one's creativity of the soul. And so Mareke flow, I ask people just to move. And when you just close your eyes and just move to sound, to the higher frequency of hertz, when you just move, it becomes blissful. When women move, you tap in the ka inside you. It just moves. And because even men, when you just move and you just flow and close your eyes and just move, but you don't have to dance, but that's still a dance. When you move, you're actually tapping in. You can feel every chakra activating.
Right.
And right now, the reason why we're losing our head tops because that root chakra, a lot of people are going back to sleep. Some people are meant to go back to sleep. A lot of people who are awakening are only going to awaken to a certain level.
You know what I told people that I said, you know, we have formed contracts. Everything is about contracts, even with the
let's not talk about those
because we
contracts.
talked about universal law. So everything has a contract, and some people contracted in to be here in the 3D plane until it's time for it to pretty much completely collapse. Some people weren't meant to wake up. They're going to recycle and, you know, be somewhere else in another school.
The world is not ending. The earth is not ending. It's cleaning house. It's the end of an era. It's the end of an era. So when people go, oh, my God, we're living in Revelations, we're going to die, why are you not using your mouthpiece to ask for more time? Why are you not beating your drum at the waters and asking Oshun and Yemoja and your ancestors and Oya and Ogun and Shango and
that's right.
You know, why we're not asking them to help us and give us more time to let our children live? You know, why are we not? You know, we're going into the third D is going 4D and 4D. You know, and people are going 5D, and some people are at 6 and 7D. If you know, these babies that are being born are coming out with teeth. These babies are coming out, lifting up their head, coming out of the womb.
Eyes wide open.
And these are ancestors. They're not babies. These are your ancestors coming back.
Come and return.
You're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
You're not listening. So when it comes to eating, listen more to your body. Certain people, when you look at water, let's talk about the water. So when we look at water, we have distilled water. When I use distilled water to cook with my foods, I don't, the sink water, I don't even, it has too much fluoride in it and too much chemicals. It's that,
Right.
I wouldn't dare. But distilled water, I cook with it. I clean my vegetables with it. Distilled water. So when you do distilled water, you can't drink distilled water by itself. It will dry out your throat because it pulls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you look at the word, to me, when I look at distilled, I'm like, okay, be still. And what am I stealing? So I'm like, I'm not stealing anything. I always listen to the words. That's just how I am. So I'm like,
As you
okay,
should.
it's just pulling, okay? So when I look at distilled water, it's pulling. But when I add the chlorophyll drop to the distilled water, now it's alkaline.
I was going to ask you about that because distilled water, I know that it takes away the minerals, and I was going to ask
Yes,
you
it
what
does.
you do.
It takes away the minerals in the
Okay.
body. If you drink it by itself, it will make your throat dry in every level. So you need to put chlorophyll, chloroxygen in it.
Okay. Okay.
When you look at the word purified water, what am I purifying myself? Purified water. You have to look at what they're using. Spring water, what happens in the spring? Things are being renewed, rebirthing. And drinking water is like tap water, but they just added certain things. When you look at certain waters, like I don't drink Fiji water because Fiji, when they had that oil burst by the Fiji water, that oil went into that water. They just tried to clean it up. So I don't drink. If you look at the bottles at your waters, there's a pyramid underneath the water. It normally has like a 1, things like that. They have numbers underneath it. If it's not a BPA plastic or anything like that, it's not good because the plastic does seep into your water.
Right.
After sitting so long. I mean, it's about survival. If you can get like the tank, so everybody's like, well, what do you think about this as a machine? I know someone asked me about it's a Kegel machine. See, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with any type of drinking machines. What I have a problem with is when you can't clean the filters. Certain parts of the machine that the water's going through, you're actually having rust and certain things in it after a while. So
you're right, and a good trick on that for those machines is, depending on which one, if it can be done, okay, is to put a little apple cider vinegar and run it through it because they do rust. If you could put a little apple cider, it'll drain that out. We had a video. One of the brothers put something together for that because he was cleaning out one. It was his distiller. I think I put it on. And I'll repost that, but he had to do that because it was rusty on the inside. Those components, just exactly like what you stated.
Yeah.
Yep.
So exercising, when it comes to exercising, I'm really gung ho for people to do like qigong and tai chi, things that deal with your breath, because we don't breathe correctly on this earth. That's the way we breathe. Also, when you're breathing in, your diaphragm, your stomach should be going out, and when you're exhaling, your stomach should be going in. So we're breathing correctly wrong. We're just breathing totally wrong. And breathing also deals with your health.
Right.
And also how you breathe. Like people sleep with their mouth open, when you're snoring and things like that, that's cutting off air. That lets me know that, you're tired and things of that nature. That you're also not getting enough sun. So when we're talking about the sun, you should sit in the sun between 10 a.m. to like 11, like close to 12, and then don't sit in the sun. Like you're going to be out in the sun. You could be out there, but radiation sits then.
Gotcha. Okay.
During the hotter it gets, like radiation. Now the sun is the silver sun, but now the sun is like, it's going through changes. It's purging. This next solar flare, there's going to be some serious away. It's already happening. This full moon that's in Aries, I'm going to say this to all my spiritual people. I don't care what you walk. I don't care if you're a bishop, apostle, whatever. You're getting ready to purge. I'm talking about serious purge. It's in Aries before it hits Scorpio. It's the hitter. And if you're not feeling it now, I don't know. I know I'm feeling it. I'm an Aries, but I'm telling you, it's asking for you to purge generational curses, things of. I'm talking about this full moon is not a game.
Mm. And tell them, when do you know when the energies are coming, when this full moon is coming, just in case?
This full moon is on the 20th.
The 20th.
So you gotta always remember 3 days before. Okay, so it's always the energy of the full moon is 3 days before, and then we got 3 days in. So it's the 20th, 21, 22, and then 3 days after. So you got to remember, we just came out of, what was that, the Saturn?
Mm-hmm.
We got it. Now we're out of that retrograde. But see, people got to understand there's still shadows of that retrograde.
That's right. It's always a remnant.
The shadow period. So now you have that shadow period. Now we're running into this full moon in the Aries.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of do your best to not argue with people. They want to do your best not to get involved in certain things. Like, do your best. If you're in a bad mood, don't take it out on nobody. Like, sit with yourself.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Be mindful of what you're putting on your skin. You know, try to do your best. Like, you know, it's okay to use coconut oil on the skin. It's okay to do hemp oil on the skin. But, you know, when you're buying lotions inside of Walmart and things like that has, you know, carrageenan and paraben-free, you know, you still got to read into that stuff. You know.
Right.
Definitely into it. But when it comes to detoxing, like I said, it's really good to have sea moss during your detox. You know, the chlorophyll, you know, black seed oil. It's good to have your bladderwrack and your turmeric teas, making your own tea during the detox. Now, if you're going to do fruit and veggies, now here's the thing. If you're diabetic and you have high blood pressure, you're having issues like that, then we would have to see what's best for you. You know,
okay.
But it's okay for you to detox, but you have to be, you know, you have to listen to your body when the body's getting weak. Here's my thing. People who are diabetic, I feel dates, like if a person's running a 4 mile, dates are the best glucose rebuilder. You could pop a date in your mouth and be energized just like that.
And you know something, I want to get, because I feel like we touched on so much today, and I'm glad that you did a lot of your background. I feel like we're going to probably need a part 2.
Okay, that's fine.
Of this conversation. I know we're going to need it because I'm going to dig deeper into the foods. But one of the main things, because I know everybody right now is dealing with the whole vaccine, and they're worried about that. And
the thing with the vaccine,
people have been asking about a metal detox. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say, and then if you can have anything on that.
So the metal, when it comes to metals, when you're detoxing, period, your liver and your kidney and all those things, like I said, bladderwrack, ashwagandha, burdock root, neem, black walnut, black charcoal, you sitting out in the sun, you have to, those things, you know, having colloidal silver, colloidal gold, you have to know which one's the colloidal gold, colloidal copper. Colloidal copper is one of the main, ones that we need in our system. If you're not wearing copper, you need to wear copper. Sometimes when you wear copper and it turns green, it's not because the copper's turning green, it's actually your body's too highly acidic. And the copper is telling you, hey, you're acidic as hell. And that's what the green is. Like when you're like, oh, my finger turned green, you're acidic as shit, you know. That's what the copper's there. The copper's pulling. So when you put a black tourmaline and have it on copper, what it does is it's bringing in that energy of that tourmaline or that obsidian, and it's grounding you, and that copper is pulling. Silver is good to wear, but also silver pulls away. So you gotta know your elements. You know, you gotta learn your elements of how to use and what to use. So yeah, that's a man. I have so much paper.
I know that's right.
So much stuff. Like I teach my students. Like they be sitting there and like I've taught class from 8 o'clock one night till like 3 in the morning. That's how long class was, because I had to break down, you know, from hoodoo, from even with people getting into hoodoo work and voodoo. Voodoo is nothing but spirit. That's our work. That's our culture. Throwing
Right.
bones and curry
Mhm.
shells and obi. They make it
Mhm.
look bad on us, but it's so crazy because they use it.
They use it. That's why they wanted it to be bad. They wanted it to look bad, so we would stop and then say,
Hmm.
"Oh, let's make this scary, the devil and
Yeah,
everything."
they
So
use
then
it.
you will stop and
Listen,
they'll do it.
the cabal. Okay, I studied the cabal. It has magic in it. Catholic churches have magic in it. You
That's
know,
right.
I laughed about when I used to be Catholic, and I laughed, but I actually was like, dang, I just got like, God just boom. You know, I don't knock them to a certain degree because we pray to our ancestors, but we get knocked about it. But they have a section in the Catholic Church that they go light candles for the dead and for the sick. That's
Mhm.
ancestry.
Right.
So when they get upset at Africans, at us, for doing ebos, which are called, they call it sacrifices. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. Don't you guys take the body of Christ? Don't you do the blood? The wine represents the blood, and the bread represents the body. Isn't that cannibalism? No, yes, it is.
Mhm. That's
You're
what it
eating,
is.
you're eating your God.
Right.
So, when you look at those things, and like I said, people who don't have to agree with me, I'm good. I know what my path is, and I know what I was shown spiritually and by the guides and by my walk. See, everybody's experience is their testimony, and
Right.
your testimony and your experience can help the next person.
Right.
You know, and everybody is like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, it's actually you both are right, but you're just seeing it in a different way, but it's still on the
Different
same accord.
perspectives. That's right.
Yeah, but how we have to turn it off. We have to turn off that switch, and at the same time, okay, God, we're ready to turn on our eyes at the same time.
Right.
Boom. Oh,
Mhm.
you know, and it's really crazy how they took Matrix. It's hard to find. You don't have Matrix on Netflix no more. You
Oh,
can't find
wow.
Matrix no more.
Really?
No, they took
Okay.
they took Matrix down. They took Jupiter Ascend down. You can't find that
Oh,
movie Jupiter
wow.
Ascend. There's a lot of movies like it's in order for you to watch The Knowing, you have to
Mhm.
pay $3.99 on YouTube to watch The Knowing from Nicolas Cage. Like you have to pay attention to the movies that like you can't
That's
find
right. That's
because
right.
a lot of the movies like had messages. They still now with Matrix coming out next month
Yeah, next month. Well, no, no,
and
December. December.
December, with Matrix coming out in December and Dune. So for those of you who don't remember the movie Dune, Dune was about the Magi, was about the ones who had the life force, the blue eyes. They had the waters of life of God. They did not
Mm.
own the sound. By their tone, they was able to kill or to just go to war. If you don't know the movie Dune, they have so many chapters, so many books of Dune. It's like Star Wars, you know. But
Mhm.
Dune, you have to go back. They have, I think, you can watch Dune on YouTube. Go watch the original Dune. So when this Dune comes out at the same time Matrix comes out, then you'll understand. It's
Right.
just because now this Matrix, when I seen the trailer, it's about the beginning. So we're going back to Genesis.
Mm. I'm glad you brought that up so people can pay attention to the movies and shows.
Yeah, because if you look at it, Neo is not remembering who he is, and remember in the last Matrix, Trinity died. She's back.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you have to. This is the resurrection. This is the we've all. If people, when I do people's human design readings, and I tell them if they're a generator or a projector, like for me, my chakral area is my authority. So I'm a responder. So I'm a generator responder. So I won't respond unless I go to my authority of my chakra and meditate and go, should I do that? See, and that's what's the problem with human beings. We just do it on a whim. We have to
Mhm.
sit. Some of us are machines where we're constantly on the run. Some of us are governed by our heart chakra. Some of us are authority by our chakras. Some of us, we have to know our human design. And when you know your human design and you know, hey, you should be eating more things that got enzymes in it, that's who you are. You need to eat this on this side. The reason why your life is this way because of this thing. So when I did my friend's human design, he wanted to confirm. So he did every free portal of human design online, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm ran by my heart space." I said, "Duh." You know, I'm like, I'm upset about you because everything he goes off what his heart is telling him to do. But I have to tell him, stop wearing your heart on your sleeve. And
That's right.
now, everybody is wearing their heart on their sleeve. Everybody is not. Their heart, they're emotional, and they're not gathering themselves in alignment because they're like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. Well, this person over here said we should do this, but what is your creator telling you to do?
That's right.
What is your ancestors telling you what you should do?
Because everyone's different, so it shouldn't be. It's not a one size fits all.
A lot of us, like for me, I'm a remnant. That's why people don't understand me. It's not meant for you to understand me. I speak. I remember apostle had told me, I speak in parables. It's for you to figure it out. You know, that's what he said. He said, you speak in parables. Like you, he told me I couldn't go to a church that didn't believe in the fivefold, meaning because everybody doesn't understand or overstand. The tongue is not just for church. Here's why I'm going to say this. You have the tongue, and you have the tongue of man, and then you have the tongue of tribes, okay? I speak the tongue of tribes. And some people that hear me when I go into healing and they hear me speak it through my mediumship or whatever, they can hear their language. Or they'll say to me, I've heard that before, because I'm tapping in somewhere in their DNA coding. Now, you have the familiar tongue. Where do I feel the familiar tongue is? T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes
right.
And all that tongue. For real. Now, don't get it twisted. There's a lot of the top gunners, they are warlocks. They can hide it all they want to. I'm showing. Not only that, Pastor Joel Osteen got asked by Deepak Kerpachek. He's from India. He's a spiritualist. And he said to Pastor Joel Osteen, he says, what's manna? And I sat there and laughed. I said, oh, I'm waiting to hear this because if he says it, I got a little bit of respect for him. He said, I thought it was shrooms. I said, I have respect for you. Because shrooms, okay, and this is what I'm going to say to people. Shrooms is actually a good thing for people who suffer from trauma. God gave his disciples shrooms, which they called it manna. When it came out of the top gunner pastor's mouth, I say because they know. Because they Because they took it. They got to see. What runs over there runs over here. What runs over here runs over there. And that's what's on that other side is over here. It's just different.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that when you go through your spiritual journey, you go through the shaman journey, and you go through these things, you see things differently. And it's very hurtful when you get, I was in a meditation, and I heard the above tell me, not everybody is going to make it.
That's right.
And I literally had tears in my eyes, and then when I had one of my godchildren, she heard the same thing. And she was crying. I said, it's okay. I said, you got the message, didn't you? And this including your family.
You know something? Not only did I get that same message, but I also got that message that not everyone is going to make it now. Because a lot of the others that do not make it, they're going to still go through their schooling because they chose to. They contracted to still continue the schooling. But eventually, everybody makes it back to source.
Right.
Because we're doing this all to make it back to source.
It's just going to take them longer. So what it is it's incubators. So when you said that, spirit just came over me and said it's incubators. So it's like when a baby's born and, you have people in intensive care units and you have people, the regular babies is here, but you have some in intensive care.
Right.
And so what's going on is if you don't get your body in alignment and you don't get into your vibrating frequency higher, then what's going to happen is this the way like how the Orishas came, and they didn't die in a human. They got lifted up full body. They were celestial beings. They came in human form, but they were celestial beings. They transcended and they ascended back how they were full body. If you looked at one of the books from Malachi York, it's from a long time ago. I remember this book. It was something about your body is a ship, which it is. And you got to take care of the ship.
That's right.
And when you're able to take care of this, you'll be able to vibrate properly. Okay? So in order for you to vibrate in that accordance, you have to, I've always taught my clients to listen to Theta for 30 days and then Beta for 30 days. Why Theta? Because it's getting you ready for Beta, because Beta is where your ancestors, well, no, let me take it back. Beta, you listen, and then Theta. I had to misconstrue there. So you go Beta for 30 days and then Theta, because Theta is where your ancestors, you could be able to, your attunement is higher.
Okay.
So when you're manifesting, you can manifest with water, and that's another subject, we could talk about another time, because, water is people don't realize that when you tell water that you love it and you thank it before you drink it, it will change your cellular. It will help you in your body when you speak to it. Water doesn't have a face, but it can hear you. Water does hear.
You put something in me, because I tell people all the time to not just talk to your water, but definitely the water. Number one, water, but talk to your food, and you could put in it what you want in it just by telling it that you want it in it.
Well,
whatever positive vibe.
All my religious people, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead. Go ahead.
If you go back, and this is coming, Spirit is telling me to say this. When you look at the book of Daniel, and when Daniel asked the king's servant, where did you get that meat? Okay, and this is for people who want to change over to veganism, that are spiritual, whatever life path. I need you to understand this. When you was eating meat, all of us have ate meat, pork, whatever. And when Daniel asked the king's servant, where did you get that meat from? How was it slaughtered? I asked one of my clients, I said, why did he ask that? She said, I don't know, maybe he's just asking. I said, no, let me break it down to you. Daniel asked the king's servant, where did you get that meat from and all that stuff, because he didn't want to be responsible for the murder or the motion for that animal. Okay? I said, when we're at the table and we're eating meat, any type of form of meat, even vegetables, okay, they all have energy. They all have a life force. When it comes to the meat, no one at the dinner table is never praying and saying, thank you, God, for this food and this nourishment. But I also ask you to forgive and ask and make sure that I'm not responsible for the murder or of the emotions of this animal. Because Daniel did not want to be responsible for the energy and the emotion of the murder of that animal by eating it. That's why he said, give me fruits and vegetables for 10 days. It had nothing to do with, he just didn't want to eat no meat. No, he didn't want to be responsible for the murder.
Right.
And so when it comes to beef, those of you who eat beef, it takes one burger 2 weeks to digest in your system. Beef. The rigor mortis of a cow is not 8 hours no more. It's 2 hours because of what they're feeding the cow. Do you know that as soon as a cow is born from its mother, they take it away within a couple of hours and they put this machine with this plastic nip on it and feeding them powdered milk, because the farmers now are saying that the baby cows are taking away their profit?
Wow.
So they're doing that. So they're feeding the cows powdered milk, the baby calves powdered milk. Now, cow's milk is nothing but regenerated cow's pus, which is blood. You're eating pus. stop drinking dairy. That's why
Mhm.
all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. Well, I would be lactose intolerant. I mean, you're eating blood. You're drinking blood. What? It's regenerated cow's pus. It's not even meant for you to drink it.
Mm, mm, mm.
So,
I've heard that a long time ago, and I've told
mhm,
people that, my family members were on it and they changed, and others didn't. And but
mhm.
I tell them the same thing as far as moving away from cow and
You
those
can't
type of
change
dairy
everybody.
products.
Everybody's going to do what they want to do regardless.
Yep. Well,
And
it might be that's part of their journey.
yeah, some people are actually meant to eat meat. That's who they are. They're
Mhm.
just carnivores. The most people who are going to be okay, here's what I'm going to say. The people who's going to go be so aggressive, and Spirit wants me to say this, the most people who's going to be aggressive, that's going to go crazy, who's going to lose their mind, or be so riotous, is the people who eat meat.
Meat. Yep.
If the store shut down.
Because it makes them animalistic, eating the meat.
That's why you
Does
have to
that.
learn how to detox. Because I've even told my godchildren in the class, I said, you guys have to start detoxing because there might be a time where you can only feed your children and you don't get to eat. There might be a time where you all don't eat at all, but might just eat a piece of bread. These are the things that everybody has to prep for. You have
Right.
to learn how to, have your batteries in your house, have flashlights, get the camping. They have these camping grills. They're like stoves. They're like $29 on Amazon. Get your stuff ready. You just don't know.
Mhm.
You know.
You're right. You know what? Empress Emmy Woo. I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna try to wrap it up for at least
Okay,
today.
dear.
I know you're a busy woman. I want to speak to
I'm gonna
you
know. Just let me
again.
know. Just
Yeah,
let me
because
know.
I want to do this again. I definitely want to go to round two because we're gonna
Yeah,
get
you still
deeper
haven't
into the
talked.
taco food of the food.
Yeah, so if you guys, I definitely want to talk about the food. I definitely want to talk more about the food. I think it's very imperative because, um, I want to talk about kale. Kale has a lot of cannabinoids in it, so I use dinosaur kale, and
Mm,
I want to be able to give you guys the nutrients and stuff. I'm going to break down how much sugars and stuff is in certain
mhm.
things because there's a lot of things. So if you guys are interested in the PDF, just let me know. I have the PDF for sale. So the PDF
How
I'm
much is
on.
the PDF before you go?
The
Because I'm gonna
PDF
push
is
this out.
yeah, the PDF is $10.
$10.
Um,
That's cheap. That's
yeah,
affordable, people.
yeah. I did it affordable for people. Like I'm not even tripping off of that. It's not about that. Just rather for people to be free. Now inside my book, inside the House of Veganati, what it is I have mantras inside because
Mhm.
being a spiritualist. So I believe that every time you read, you should say a mantra. And the reason why I put the mantras after every read is because it helps you on your journey to want to read more. Um, there's certain recipes in there. I will give you guys, like, the next time we talk, I want to, about how to make your own milks, like, out of hemp seeds
Oh,
and
that's gonna be
seeds and
wonderful.
stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah. Okay.
So I have stuff like that. How to make your own bean burgers and stuff. So I have all that stuff is in there too. Um, and then I have a detox that I am releasing. So I make a lot of stuff. I make a lot of holistic products. So I have it's for your smoothies. It has a lot like truffali. It has
Mhm.
elderberry. I infuse honeys. So I have a lot of medical honeys. Like I have elderberry. I have moringa honey. I have neem. I have so many honeys: peppermint honey, cayenne pepper honey. I have all those that I make. If you guys are interested in that,
Oh
but the
yeah.
the Woo Tox is a detox system that I created. It's a powder, so what you do is you put it in your smoothie.
Mhm.
And you will be using the bathroom, but it's so worth it. So worth it. So worth it. So you do it in the morning, or if you work in the morning, I'd rather for people to do it when they get home and then because you're gonna have to you're gonna be have
Using
CNUT
the
in it.
bathroom.
So
Right.
it
Okay.
has it has a lot of stuff to help the digestive system,
Okay.
and it helps the skin also because I'm a firm believer about helping the skin, and it
That's right.
also helps mental. So
Okay.
when I created the powder with the herbs and everything, I just wanted to make sure it has a balance because like I said, when everybody detoxes, you're detoxing the mental. And you need a support team, too. And that's the thing. When people be detoxing, they don't have a support system. So they definitely
Right.
don't.
And any, I would say, closing thoughts before we go for today?
I just want
Anything
everybody,
else? Mm-hmm.
well, the only closing thought that I have, and it's also from Spirit, and it's also from me, to realize that it's not the end. And stop panicking. Tap into your ancestors. Um, you got to live. And, a lot of us are panicking like out the woodwork. And we're not the only living things. You're getting ready to see a lot of different things, but just know you're worth every second, every minute, every moment of your life. And it's bigger than what we think out here. It really is. Be mindful who you share your space with. Definitely right now.
You can say that again.
But most of all, work on yourself. Definitely. If you have to, it's imperative. My children need you. And to my brothers, oh my God, my brothers. I really want to. My brothers, I know y'all don't talk about your health. I know you don't. There's so much going on with y'all. We need y'all. And I'm gonna keep it real because I'm a real person. Not need y'all to be our daddy, okay? Because you don't want nobody, and you don't want nobody to be your mama. Okay?
That's right.
But when it comes to us, melanated people, the reason why, because we're royalty. But try to do your best to understand your sister, and we're gonna do our best to understand you.
That's right.
And I know we lack in communication bad. And to my older sisters, my younger sisters out here, it ain't all about get that bag, that head, and leave. Okay, because what you're doing is we're being looked at. We're the most oppressed female species on this earth. We really are. And we'll take anybody and love them. But sisters, please love on yourself, respect yourself. We have to be respected. We really have to if we're really going to walk around. Because let me tell you, if a brother calls me a queen, I no disrespect my brothers. Please don't call me a queen because I ain't your whore. Okay? Because I don't call people queens. We're goddesses. We're in the image and likeness of our God. Because if people are like, oh, yeah, queen does mean whore. Yeah, it does.
Something I tell people all the time, too, just using those terminologies. And some people may say king, queen, even gods and goddesses. Those were all like corporate terminology. That's why I say empress and I say nobility, because I'm trying to get out of that.
Yeah, but you know what? To me, if I really wanted to say it, just call me universal. I'm a universal being, or I'm just a celestial being having a human experience.
That's right.
That's really where I'm at. But when it comes to that word queen, though, for me, I can't speak for nobody else. Y'all can love it. Me, I'm good. That's where my embodiment is. Like, no, we good. Like, we passed that level, But we need to talk about, the next time let's talk about how, talk about the food if we can. And we need to talk about our relationships with each other because it's very important. In relationship with our children, because I need my family, my melanated people, our children need us. They're suffering. And domestic violence is really high in melanated children's relationships. It's crazy right now. It's deep out here, really deep. And we got to cover each other. Even if we don't know each other, we got to cover. And we got to spend more time with Mother Nature.
That's right.
Because she's sick of us. She done gave us all this opportunity to be on her back and build roads and everything and fertilize and everything. We can't even give her no love. Oh, she's showing love right now, though.
You got that right.
So I love you. I thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
I thank you all for listening. I thank everybody. May y'all have a wonderful day. And may the ancestors and may the Oludumare, God, Shiva, whoever you worship, bless you. And may your path be the road. And may Eshu just open up every road for everybody.
Oh, now that was beautiful. We're going to end it on that note. And you heard it here first. Emmy Wu, she's going to come back. We're definitely going to talk about food. And next, we're definitely going to talk about relationships. Yep, I'm just going to try to see anytime I could spend time with my sister, just to, because she does a lot, guys. So the next time she's free, we'll talk about it and we'll do something else and move from that point. Ashe, thank you guys so much.
Love
And
you guys. Thank you so much.
we'll see you
Uh,
guys next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.